So I'm standing in my front yard looking at the sign that someone put there the night before. It's February 6th, 2017. And I have my arm around my 10-year-old son, and I'm having one of those parenting dilemmas where, like, I don't know, should I let him see how upset I am, or should I just play it cool? It was really cold, but I couldn't go inside because I was in shock. So let me tell you about parenting that 10-year-old. And I have to go way back to these weekends that my husband Ray and I spent in a church basement in Alexandria, where me, good student that I have always been, was taking copious notes on attachment disorder. See, when you get ready to adopt a child from another country, you're required to take a certain number of hours of parenting education. And it's not about diaper rash or sleep schedules, although believe me, that would have come in handy. Instead, it's about what it's going to be like to parent a child who's coming from poverty that you can't wrap your head around, who may have been sick most of their life, and who is likely going to have some effects of orphanage care. And the class was great. I learned so much. But there was one topic that we didn't really address that much, and it would blow my mind if this is not part of the curriculum now, and that's race. Particularly what it was going to be like for those of us in that basement, all well-meaning white people, to parent kids of color. But it just wasn't part of the curriculum. I mean, it was 2007, we were on the verge of electing our first black president. I mean, we were coasting into post-racial America. So it was very easy for me to fall into the mindset that the adoption community kind of snidely calls rainbows and unicorns. And that's this mindset that no matter what challenge your child faces, you're going to be able to fix it with love. So we finished the class, and sometime after that, Ray and I get on a plane, and we fly to Vietnam, and we become the parents of this adorable 2-year-old boy we named Owen. And for a while, things really were rainbows and unicorns. I was head over heels in love. I didn't have to think that much about race. I mean, we were in the DC area, this incredibly diverse place, people from all over the world. We were in Vienna, Virginia, this progressive suburb. It was like white parents, Asian kid. People didn't look at us twice. But then Michael Brown was killed in Ferguson, Missouri, and the Black Lives Matter movement ignited, and I started to pay attention. And then the rhetoric of the 2016 campaign kind of went off the rails. And me, well-meaning white lady, raising a kid who's not white, started to think, this is going to be a little harder than I thought it was going to be. Bye-bye rainbows. Bye-bye unicorns. Which brings me to February 6th, 2017, looking at the sign that someone has put in my front yard overnight. Trump had instituted the Muslim ban about 10 days before, and the sign was a Trump-Pence campaign sign, but they had papered over one side of it. So it still said Trump-Pence 2016, but on the other side, the papered side, in fat black Sharpie, it said, ban them all. Who would do this? Who would do this to a kid? Who would do this so that when my beloved 5th grader, my Vietnamese American child, my naturalized citizen, came out the door to catch the bus in the morning, that would be the first thing that he saw? Ban them all? So what did I do? Well, I let Owen see how upset I was. And then, because I am a middle-aged white lady, I called the police. And I got on social media. And I took a picture of the sign and I posted it to a local Facebook group with a caption that said, "What the actual fudge?" My mom's here tonight. And within minutes, I started getting comments, and people were just aghast. How could this have happened in Mayberry, RFD, Vienna? This is terrible. And all the outrage made me feel better. And then the next morning, a mom of a kid in Owen's class called me, a woman I'd never talked to before, but she looked me up in the school directory after seeing the Facebook post and called me to give me her support. But she was also hatching a plan. So that night, Owen and Ray and I were having dinner, and we heard noise out in the front yard. And we were like, what now? Wait, that sounds like kids. So we crept to the front door, and we looked out, and our yard was full of kids. Dozens and dozens of kids from Owen's school and their parents, including the mom who had called me and put the whole thing together. And they had balloons, and they had bouquets of flowers, and most of all, they had signs. And they were putting these signs in our front yard, and the signs said things like, "You are welcome here. You belong. You are loved." Y'all, it was magical. We were all out in the yard, and the kids were hugging Owen, and I was hugging the moms, and I think at one point the kids all sang a song, and I thought my heart would burst. And in the days that followed, people from my church came and put more signs in our yard, and our mailbox started to overflow with cards and letters from people we'd never met. And people would stop by our house and talk to us about the sign. And they all said the same thing. This is not who we are. I was so humbled by the support that I started to deflect it. I mean, the Muslim ban was still going on. Things were bad for a lot of people. We're fine. But then I realized something. It wasn't just that people wanted to comfort Owen or our family. They needed to comfort themselves. This is not who we are. So we never found out who put the sign in our yard, but whoever you are, you changed me. After the sign, good student that I am, I doubled down and learned everything I could about systemic racism and nationalism. I joined a Facebook group of adult adoptees of color who have kicked my butt as they've taught me all the mistakes that well-meaning white parents can make when they're not attuned to the racial issues their kids face. I took a class in white privilege. It's a thing. You know, before the sign, I thought I was woke, whatever that means, but I don't know anything. I will never know what it's like for Owen or any person of color or any naturalized citizen to make their way in America. I have so much to learn. I make mistakes all the time, but I am working as hard as I can to become the ally that my kid needs. And it isn't easy. I mean, there are days when our national discourse takes a dive and I think, maybe this is who we are. Nah, because in my heart, I still have some rainbows and unicorns. The America that I believe in, the one that values each and every individual, the America of equity and equality for all, it is right over the horizon. It wears the faces of beautiful children holding flowers and balloons. We may not be there yet, but I know we're going to get there. I have literally seen the signs. They say, "You are welcome here. You belong. You are loved." Thank you.